Alright, we're going to talk about single-step equations, how to solve single-step equations, and what an equation actually is. If we look here, we have kind of a loose definition of what an equation is. An equation is formed when an equal sign is placed between two expressions, creating a left side and a right side. If we look at 3x equals 12, we've got our equal sign, we have our left side of our equation and our right side of our equation. If we look at 6 plus t equals 8, we've got an equal sign, we have our left side and our right side. And the same thing over here with v divided by 6 equals 4. We've got a left side, a right side, and we've got an equal sign right there smack dab in the middle. Alright, so that's what an equation is. Equations made up of variable terms, constants, coefficients, everything we've talked about. Solution to an equation. To find a solution to an equation, we have to find when the variable in a single variable equation is replaced by a number and the resulting statement is true. And that's very important mathematically. That means that the statement that results is true. So if we look up here, we have 3x equals 12. Well, just looking at this, I can say, well, I know 3 times 4 equals 12. That means that x equals 4 is in fact a solution to this equation. It's a solution because if we plug it back in, 3 times 4 equals 12. Right? That gives us 12 equals 12. That gives us a true mathematical statement. That means we have found the solution to an equation. And we're just going to go through a couple of them. X minus 5 equals 13. Yes, I know a lot of us could just look at this and we can understand the answer is, but let's go through it step by step. What we want to do is we want to get that variable alone. So we're trying to isolate x. In order to isolate x, we have to get rid of this negative 5 or minus 5, however you want to look at it. To get rid of that minus 5, what do I have to do? I have to add 5. Now in math, and what's so great about these equations is we can do just about whatever we want to them as long as we do it to both sides, because we have to keep them equal. So if I add 5 to the left side, I've got to add 5 to that right side as well. Negative 5 plus 5 is going to give me a 0. And I still have my x over here. On the right side I have 13 plus 5 is 18. This will end up giving me x is equal to 18. And I can check this by plugging my x in. X minus 5 equals 13. Yep, we got 13 equals 13. That is, in fact, a true statement. So that's how we isolate our variable. Now we'll also see problems where we've got division. Remember this fraction, that's just a division sign. So I've got x divided by 5 equals negative 30. Same thing, I've got to isolate my x. I want to get it alone. The only thing over here with x is this divided by 5. How do I undo a divided by 5? Well, I just multiply by 5. Right? Because if I multiply by 5 over 1, these 5's are going to cancel out and just leave me with x over 1. Now again, remember, if I multiply one side of the equation by 5, got to multiply the other side of the equation by 5. So I'll get negative 30 times 5 will give me negative 150. So I've got x equals negative 150. If I plug that back in, negative 150 over 5 equals negative 30. I'll see that I get negative 30 equals negative 30. Again, I've got a true statement. So I'm doing the same thing, I just have to understand which operation I have to undo. And I have this last equation here, 16x is equal to 32. So I'm multiplying x by 16. To get rid of that multiplication by 16, I've got to divide by 16. Got to do the same thing on both sides, divide by 16. These 16s will cancel out, I'm left with x is equal to 72 divided by 16. Right? Got to make sure I do the same thing on both sides. Now if I'm looking at this, I will notice I could simplify it, or you know what, I'm just going to put it into a decimal form. If I do that division, I get x is going to be equal to 4.5. You're allowed to get decimal answers. If I plugged that back in, I would have 16 times 4.5. It's got to equal 72. I do some multiplication, I'll see 72 equals 72 again. We've got that true statement. That's what we're looking for. That's how we're going to go about solving single step equations.